explain what you do, and we're looking forward to up on our panel is someone who is an entrepreneur, an award-winning entrepreneur. She's done some incredible things. She's the founder of Zimba Women, and Ms. Sharifa Tumusime also has been at the heart of empowering, at the moment, more than 10,000 young female entrepreneurs using technology. And you've also been heavily involved in the build-up to our celebrations today, and we'll probably hear a bit more about that as well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ben. I'm happy to be here.
Next up, from civil society, Mr. Henry Richard Chimera, who is CEO of Consumer Education Trust with the Regulator for Communications in Uganda, the Uganda Communications Commission, and is currently serving as the Communication Infrastructure and Services Head for UCC. Good to see you. You're no stranger to people who watch their TV a lot. You do this all the time. Good to see you.
Thank you, Ben, and good evening to our viewers.
Right, so as we start our conversation, I guess I'll start with Marcella, because what we're doing is right at the heart of, what we are trying to achieve today. About gender equality in digital transformation, where are we as a country in terms of, there's gender equality for starters, but also in the digital space and what's happening there. How are we doing as a country based on what you're doing at GCIC?
Thank you, Ben. That's a very interesting question. Gender equality usually attracts a lot of debate. Men are feeling left out. There's a lot of focus on women. But the way things are, women are still struggling to access a lot of digital services, and yet are doing a lot of work. In terms of social media or digital platforms, the subscription is, I think, tailored to what they get from these platforms. Of course, currently women are very good storytellers, but are still, I think, easier accessed on radio or physically, meaning they don't get to use their phones much, even if in the younger demographic we're seeing a lot of that. But generally in our older segment of women, there's a bit of a struggle. You need to get to them physically and talk to them, record them, and then, share their interviews. So there's a bit more work to do in that regard.
And for Sharifa, you've been spending a lot of time with young girls. It's literally what you do for a living. How bad is it for us in Uganda when you know about the global figures and what it looks like? What's the situation for the Ugandan women in particular?
So, according to the recent population census that was done, 43% of the households in Uganda have access to a mobile phone or gadget. So we are not doing too well in comparison to the rest of the globe. And of those 43%, 80% of the women have access to a phone. This is just access. But when you're talking about digital transformation, and especially for gender, there's access, there's opportunity, there's agency. If I have this phone, am I able to use it fully? Do I have the skills to use it fully? Do I have agency to use it? If I come online and speak about something, will I have the same confidence as a man? Because there's things like doxing. Will people not shame me because I'm a woman, because of where I'm coming from? Will my message be received? And so in those terms of use, we are not doing too well at all.
That's not encouraging at all. And it looks like things that we take for granted, because and yet when you go to look deep down, it becomes an actual problem. Henry, it's not just about the access or affordability. For many people who are using digital services, the issue of consumer rights always pops up in a very big way, and you get the sense, especially in a country like ours, that many people actually also don't pay too much attention to the rights that they have or should accrue to them, which also in a way contributes, especially in this conversation around how it affects the genders, right?
Very true, and thank you very much, Ben. Bringing in the consumer rights, first I would like to commend UCC. UCC, why I say I need to commend them. Way back in 1999, when I started rubbing shoulders with them, there was no consumer department. Currently, there is a consumer department, fully fledged, and having toll-free lines, having regional offices to address issues to do with consumers. Now, discussing today the aspect of telecommunications and information society today is something very key that UCC has played its major role. The other aspect that I would like, I've seen the growing. I shared with my organization, the First Consumer Rights. UCC localized them by tuning them into Ugandan perspective. And that is something that is very key, an institution that would love to see fairness. But the challenge remains. Where the challenge remains, and I will give you a very short story. We harvest consumer complaints, and the people you expect to complain about issues would be women, because most of the things that we harvest complaints from are food, communication, health, transport. But when you look, if I would put it to our local situation, money for buying things at home. Many women, or the male gender sends to a female gender, but the theft, grabbing or the skies or women are kind of victimized. So the consumer rights come in, irrespective of where we do a lot of emphasis that there is a need to be responsible. But the circumstances in which they operate, formal and informal, at times makes them more vulnerable, and their rights are abused.
Right.
So it is very key, and it's important that we are holding this day, and it will be important to continuously empower the female gender to make sure that they speak out and they assert and make sure that they are not victimized.
And thank you. It's not just a fact. Rebecca, this is probably an opportunity for you to revel in the adulation you're getting from Henry and commendation for UCC. I'm sure you have worked with the Consumer Affairs Department at UCC as well, so an opportunity for you to acknowledge this honor and enjoy it for a moment for the good job that you're doing.
Yes, the women are a very important demographic in our service offering, because at the end of the day, like someone has shared, the population of the country, our numbers show that there are more women. So when we are looking at inclusion in this digital transformation journey, which in the interest of our viewers shouldn't be complicated, we're simply saying quality of people's lives. Now when we add a gender spin to that and the word equity, we are simply saying that these opportunities that can transform people's lives when they use digital services should be equally accessible to both male and female, regardless of the demographic. But also, to even within the females, we have now found ourselves as a commission having to step back to strip and understand the different divides even within the existing gender divide, because you'll find that even within the female, there are those in the formal and informal sector. There are those in rural and urban areas. There's the age. Age is a critical factor that if you do some interventions for young people to get them into STEM careers, to give them ICT skills, those same interventions might not mirror for the older generation. Their needs might be different. So as an institution, we have stepped back from doing generic profiling to now stripping the needs, so that whatever interventions we come up with are addressing particular requirements to ensure that everybody, male or female, because there is normally a fear, or we normally find ourselves thinking that gender interventions are only for women.
Right.
There actually could be gender interventions for male. There could be areas that discriminate males from benefiting from digital opportunities. So we have to have another look at it, see what's on the table, and clearly understand what is limiting the different demographics from accessing those opportunities.
Yeah.
Because in our general mandate, when we do our work well as Uganda Communications Commission, communication services should be accessible to all.
Yeah.
So when we've done that work and they're accessible to everyone, what then is limiting people from
Being able to access
being able to
them.
use them,
Right.
and not just to use them, but to use them gainfully to improve the quality of their lives. So that's where we sit as an institution.
Right.
currently.
Clearly, you seem to have been doing a good job, which actually gives us an opportunity to get a message in from two of the key people here at the Uganda Communications Commission who have been at the heart of making sure we have this inclusion for everyone for communication services. We'll hear first from the Director of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Fred Otunu, and then from the Executive Director, Honorable Nyombi Tembo, and a message from them as we commemorate World Telecommunications and Internet Information Society Day, and then we'll come back and continue with the rest of our panel conversation around where we are in Uganda and what we need to do to make sure that there is better gender equality for digital transformation.
Today, 17th May, is the World Telecommunication and Information Society Day. This day dates way back in 1969, when the world recognized it as the World Telecommunications Day. We celebrate this day under the theme, Gender Equality in Digital Transformation. Why are we emphasizing gender in particular? Because for a long time, the issue of gender disparity has been so glaring in the field of ICTs. ICTs at one point was seen as a male-dominated arena. But of course, with time, the world has put enough emphasis on closing the gap between the male and the female so that we can all achieve digital parity as we transform our society. This day, in many aspects, provides us with a platform on which the world discusses issues, assesses, reflects so much how ICTs have transformed our societies. The use of digital technology has enabled the women not only to chat, but also to engage in businesses, engage in the community work, engage in education. And therefore, we feel as a commission that we are moving in the right direction. Our outreach programs have been geared intentionally to be felt, to be heard, and to be seen. And that's how we engage with the communities around ourselves. And as we celebrate this day, we are very pleased to invite all of us to reflect on how ICTs has transformed your societies. Of course, I cannot conclude without commending the stakeholders that we have throughout the years worked with, collaborated with, and these are local governments, civil society, academia, and so forth, and individuals in advocating for digital transformation. I'd like to take this opportunity once again to thank you so much and wish you all a very joyful World Telecommunications and Information Society Day. I thank you all.
It's an honor to welcome you all to the commemoration of the World Telecommunication and Information Society Day 2025. Today is not just another event on the ICT calendar. It is a moment of reckoning, a time to reflect, and more importantly, to reimagine our collective future in a world powered by digital inclusion. I often think about a young woman I met in Kamuli last year during one of our digital literacy outreaches. She was a tailor who is self-taught, working under a mango tree, using pen and paper to manage orders. When we introduced her to digital tools, she looked at her phone not as a social device, but as a lifeline to customers, a means of record keeping, and a tool for mobile payments. 3 months later, she had opened a small shop and now teaches others how to use the same tools to grow their businesses. Her story is one among thousands, and it fuels everything we are discussing here today. Gender equality in digital transformation is not charity, it is smart economics. When we empower women with the digital skills, we are not just closing a gap, we are opening up economies, unlocking innovation, and driving sustainable growth across Uganda. This year alone, under the banner of WTI SD 2025, we have trained 50 women in each of the underserved districts, Arua, Kitgum, Kamuli. Empower our women. Let us create safe, accessible, and affordable digital spaces. Let us make gender equality not a side note, but a central pillar in every policy, program, and partnership we build. We must understand that a digitally empowered woman doesn't just change her story, she rewrites her community destiny. May this World Telecommunications Information Society Day 2025 remind us that true progress lies not in how fast we innovate, but in how inclusive that innovation is. For God.
Enoni Baba TV obusoga bulaire.
Oyo mwana muweku ne tata muweku mama muweku jane ye ngokozesa manyi okoye bambi nywayo ku jane tasosola myaka bato babakulu awawulo bongo jane musanyu nywaku boda boda muweku dereva nyweku jane ye Janet Drink akolebwa MBS Food Agencies ali matundiro gonna mu